We're back with another edition of Smart Driving Cars. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Good afternoon, Fred. It is afternoon now, almost on the longest day of the year, give or take. Ooh,
And it's really feeling like summer of late. Going to feel more like it next week.
great. I'm going to go out and play golf till 2:30. Ooh,
100 degrees next week. You going to play golf?
I don't know, whatever.
On top in the latest Smart Driving Car newsletter from Inside EVs, VW will sell you an ID.Buzz Robotaxi. It says starting next year, companies, municipalities, and other entities, I guess that's anyone, will be able to order robotaxis as a ready-to-go package. They plan to get full certification in the EU and the US to go driverless. They're saying they're using cameras, LiDARs, radars, everything.
Wow. Boy, I want to be one of the first anybody's. I'll buy every one that they put out there. I mean, assuming the price is okay. Uh, Whatever. That's great. Happy to have them. I think they'll be welcomed here. I love the form factor. Um, why not? Make it happen. Why is it taking you so long? I mean, oof. I mean, really, Volkswagen was I don't know, I was going to say the heart, maybe the substance behind the Stanford team in the 2005 DARPA challenge. Uh, you know, they finished. I mean, didn't need to really work as well as it needs to work now to actually do it. But I mean, they've been in this for a while, and they've made, I think, the nice decision to come out with to bring the Volkswagen bus. Last year, I was looking to buy one of the original Volkswagen bus. There was one for sale down near Mays Landing. Kept driving by it, saying it was baby blue or whatever.
Were you, were you
Elizabeth,
gonna were you gonna paint it like Grateful Dead colors?
we didn't know. I mean, Elizabeth and I I mean, we we really wanted to buy it. So hey, well, look, this is perfect.
And the competition, of course, is welcome. They're doing it right.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is going to be competition, and this competition from a substantive entity that's entities that have been around doing this for a while. When you bring the Mobileye team together with the Volkswagen team, and yeah, call me. Um, uh, Sooner the better.
From Not a Tesla App, the headline reads, Tesla's approach to autonomy is 7 times safer and 7 times cheaper than Waymo. This is based on a recent Bloomberg piece, I think. And you had some comments, Alan.
Yeah, well, I wish Bloomberg wouldn't put its pieces behind a paywall. Then maybe we could, look more closely at what Bloomberg claims. 7X are big numbers. 7X are big numbers. I mean, one doesn't even need to be 7X. I mean, Jesus, just to be 1X of Waymo. Certainly on the safety piece is really good. Whether or not there's 7X, I don't know. I guess depends on I mean, comparing things in whatever safety metric is a very, very difficult thing to do. But geez, basically I'll discount the 7X of safety to 1X. Ooh, that's pretty good.
I guess a lot of people would question, okay, how is this comparison taking place? Because Tesla has not had vehicles running around without drivers in them at all.
Right. So yeah, that's why we're not the comparison on safety is rarely apples to apples. It's apples to oranges. And then to say the apples to apples is 7x or whatever x, whatever. So that's why, you know, the rolling of the eyes. But in a sense, these are. I think the question is that Waymo, my perception is that it's darn safe, it's darn good. It's proven itself and it's proving itself every day in driverless operation. I don't think they're faking it. I don't think they have, like people running right around behind them with joysticks, whatever. They, of course, do remote monitoring. Absolutely. There's remote monitoring of every system, I think. I don't know. I hope there's monitoring. I guess somebody tried to land a spacecraft on the moon and somehow tried to remote control it. No, remote monitoring, maybe. Remote control, no, you can't, the latency gets to you. Even if it is just across the street, if it's at the moon, remote control is like, no.
Not
There,
gonna
there
happen.
is somebody, there's something wrong in the reporting there. Nobody would even think of doing remote control. Uh, let's remote control something on Mars. Oh, okay, sure. How about on Alpha Centauri? Never mind. It does take time. The speed of light does take time anyway. But
Right.
yeah, great, sure, absolutely. Safety, Waymo is proving it every day. I
They're
think I think
expanding the California service area by 50%, and you have in here, and Waymo is also applying for a New York City permit to test self-driving cars.
yeah, let's deal
Yeah.
with these things one at a time, Fred.
Oh,
There's a lot there. Yeah, wonderful that they're expanding their California service. Absolutely. Look, if you actually can believe you can do it and you can do it without faking it and so on, driverless, the opportunity to provide high quality mobility and of course I think do it substantially more affordably than you're doing it now. I guess you don't have to do it affordably now. You only have a limited supply. This is a supply limited uh, market opening as opposed to a demand limited market opening. I mean, the demand for this is really large, especially if you go along the price curve and you can then, compete on price and how low can you go? And there are a lot of folks out there. I contend, I guess I have to contend because I really can't prove it because you don't know what you don't know, but the latent demand, the demand that is not served, that could be served, I guess I personally believe is really large. It can deliver an enormous societal value. So great, Waymo. Expand. Come to Jersey. I've asked you to come to Jersey for how long? Come to Jersey. Do it in Jersey, but do it affordably. Um,
and what about this story about them coming next door to Jersey, New York?
I guess probably the kindest thing I can say is no comment. And unfortunately, I mean, from my point of view, which it is my point of view, unfortunately, but I don't see it. Okay.
New
I,
York
I
City
don't I
certainly is
don't
a
I don't
different
see the
animal,
I
but
don't see the business case. I don't see it. I mean,
there
it's a
there
good
are a
thing
lot of
I'm not an
mobility options
investor
there, right?
because I don't see it.
Right.
I don't see the welcome signs.
Meanwhile, Elektrek reports that Tesla is asked to delay robotaxi launch, which is slated for June 22nd, a couple days. And they've been asked that by some Texas lawmakers.
Okay, but yeah, but why, or what are they delaying? Because my understanding of the robo taxi launch is as smoke and mirrors. Okay, it's not what Waymo does in San Francisco and Los Angeles and Phoenix, and apparently, I guess I haven't witnessed it in Austin. Okay, it's not that, and thank goodness it isn't. And I think it's 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 very responsible of Tesla for it to be robotaxi in name with smoke and mirrors all over the place, as opposed to, hey, robotaxi in real when um, um, you haven't sufficiently demonstrated that you can do it, or you haven't come out there explicitly saying, yes, we're responsible. If in fact anything goes wrong, we'll fix it. Okay. Because in some sense, that's both what GM Cruise did and what Waymo has done in San Francisco, Phoenix, LA. I guess Cruise never made it to LA. I mean, that's what they've done. Implicitly, explicitly, or not really that explicitly, but certainly implicitly. They've said we're out there, we have to empty reposition the vehicle to go from when it drops you off, Fred, and comes and picks me up. And there's nobody in it. And it's going to do that safely. And if it doesn't do it safely, we're going to fix it. I mean, that's really what Waymo has done, and we absolutely applaud them for that decision. Applaud them for having such confidence in their technology that they think they can do that with minimal risk, or that the reward is substantially greater than the risk that they're incurring. That's really what they've done, and we applaud them. Now, if Elon in quotes, or whoever is controlling this thing at Tesla, believes that in fact they have a sufficient experience with their systems in the provision of rides for people in that process, that in fact they were prepared to do it driverlessly, and are at the table ready to fix any problems that they might incur in that process, then I applaud them. But I don't see the evidence that they've done that. Okay, and as Tesla as Waymo did in very carefully in Phoenix, very carefully in San Francisco, very carefully in Los Angeles. Start with an attendant on board, or start with the smoke and the mirrors around it, and become comfortable enough themselves, and made everybody else, I guess, comfortable sufficiently to say the reward is certainly worth the risk. And the risk is so low and the reward is so high that absolutely. I mean, that's what goes on. We can, put in other characterizations, but fundamentally, that's what goes on in that process. I just don't see that Tesla's done that yet. they had some little demo, whatever. They ran them around. They sort of, certainly on their own property, they're confident of this whole thing, absolutely. But as Carl Vogt ran into the buzzsaw of not knowing what you don't know, and most unfortunately, not having a camera in the front bumper to actually look to see, can I actually start moving now because there's nothing under my front bumper that I can't readily pass over. Triggered the end. Boom. Instantaneously. Bankruptcy. Boom. Done. Out of here. Boom. And there's some other reports that say, oh my goodness, the Teslas, they're using a Model Y. Why just the Model Y? I think because it has the Carl Vogt camera in the front. They put the Carl Vogt camera in the bumper. Applaud them for that. Absolutely applaud them for that. I sure hope that Waymo's put a Carl Vogt, maybe LiDAR. I don't care what, some sort of sensor in there to make sure one knows there's a Carl Vogt problem now. Somebody gets hurled in front of your car and lands there. You stop as fast as you can. You can't start moving again until that person gets up or is removed. You got to know that person's there. We now know that. Solve that one. Good. Now, chances of that happening again is 10 to the minus who knows how many, but a lot, sufficient lot. So I think it's great that they're doing it with the Model Y that has the camera in the bumper, as well as all the other stuff that they have. But there are a lot of other things that they need to become comfortable with themselves that they can do. And so in the meantime, you need an attendant on board. And I think it's just cue to them to put the attendant in the passenger seat instead of behind the steering wheel. Why not just have them behind the steering wheel? Why have them in the passenger seat with a joystick that does the same thing as the steering wheel and the brake pedal? They're going to have a joystick with a steering wheel and a brake pedal functionality on it, unless they're total idiots, and they're not. Why would they risk it? And that person is going to have to be well trained, better trained than what Uber trained their attendant in the Arizona crash. So, that's where we are. And that's an appropriate place for us to be, because we need to really have confidence that this works. Because in fact, whatever 2 billion miles or whatever it is that is quoted in the one article as to the number of miles that Tesla has operated in with FSD working well, all those, one has to assume, because that's the requirement, that there was a human oversight in there, that the human oversight ended up, disengaging the darn thing and taking over, probably in, I don't know, large, if not greater than 90% of the cases. The reason that there's a disengagement in FSD is because of the needs of the driver, not because one was avoiding some catastrophe or even some slight bump. Anyway, that's where that stands. So great, it's wonderful. I don't know that it needs to be delayed in Texas, because what they're doing is they're still doing, even though they might call it unsupervised, they can call it whatever they want. It's going to be supervised. There's going to be somebody in there, and nobody, Elon, whatever, can't be confident enough that this is going to work. Otherwise, it's irresponsible. It's really irresponsible. They need more experience in actually giving people rides, that the system does in fact work. But hey, if they think that which is what they're doing, I think. Sorry, that's what I
We'll be
think.
learning more pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, I guess we'll be learning, and one has to be careful what one reads because there's. I mean, I'm just getting tired of just um, um, being negative. Put putting an article out there and then just being negative on it.
There can be a lot of
I want to
irresponsible.
be a positive person. I want to look at the glass half full and so on. And I just want to assume that there's nothing but good going on out there.
From Elektrek, another story, Alan. Amazon to test humanoid robots for package delivery with Rivian electric vans. We've talked about this kind of thing for some time.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, what else are you going to do with a humanoid? I mean, really. I mean, it's actually you know, I we buy a certain amount of stuff from Amazon, and and it pulls over, person gets out, walks up 3 steps, drops it on our front porch, takes a picture. What else could you use a humanoid for? Man, just do that.
For
And then
now,
if the
there's still going to be a driver in these vans, at
but
least.
why do you need a driver? We just discussed you don't need the driver anymore. You could put packages in a Waymo and have this thing sit in the Waymo and deliver packages to my house. Or maybe an ID, whatever, Volkswagen. Ooh.
And isn't
And
Amazon certainly has Zooks as well, so we'll see.
well, I would think you could do you Zooksy Wooksy. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's like perfect. I mean, it justifies Zooks. Oh my goodness. It's a juggernaut. And if you do it between midnight and 5 a.m. or 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., when the children aren't running around, school buses aren't running around with stop signs making you whatever. I don't know. There's nobody on the road in Princeton. And so why would you want to be clogging up the roads and so on with your Zooks vehicle during the day when you could do it between midnight or 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. when the system's not being utilized? You can take the thing up to no drones.
So, how do you think Peggy will react to a humanoid at
She'll
the
bark.
doorstep at 4
She'll
a.m.?
bark. She'll bark. She'll try to protect me. But the thing's not coming in the door.
Right.
I mean, it's brilliant. I think.
Amazon did try that, with the ability to open your garage door or
Yeah, they don't have to open my garage door. I guess, they just drop it on my front porch anyway and take a picture and then make it my responsibility that it's not stolen by somebody. So, and it remains my responsibility. And I live in this bad neighborhood where everybody goes and steals things, out of cars and steals cars. Had my car stolen from my front driveway, Well, of course, I left a key in it, and the key emits a little thingy. And so they knew that the key was in it. So it was like, I guess I should start locking my doors. Well, I do.
From The Verge, the US DOT wants more self-driving cars without pedals or steering wheels. This is written by Andrew Hawkins, and this is really you know, we waited so long for them to approve cruise or whatever before, and now
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're so irrelevant. They're just so irrelevant. Look, this is going to be here. The whole Washington executive, whatever, public national oversight needs to consider this thing as a separate mode. I mean, just look at the website now at Texas at the number of AV entities, operating apparently, or at least thinking they operate within Texas. This deserves to be a separate modality. Okay. A car's a modality, a truck's a modality, a train's a modality, a pipeline's a modality, an airplane's a modality. This deserves its own modality, its own public oversight to look at what one can do and not do with this technology. Having it, shoehorned in within what to do, it needs to seriously ask, why is it that there is a requirement that a human be driving a vehicle? Really? I mean, cut it out. Okay. And so it deserves, and it can't be put into a bailiwick where humans are the controlling entity, the key entity of the darn thing. Why does New Jersey just provide driver's licenses to entities 17 years old and greater that can pass some whatever test? uh, Really, if a machine can pass that test, why isn't it just as good as a 17-year-old? Or what is it in the 17-year-old or older test that is so critical that the machine can't do? And let us know what that is. We'll have the machine do that. Okay. So trying to shoehorn this thing amongst who knows how many other modes that have completely other things associated with them. It just this concept, I've been sort of dangling this concept out there for, I don't know. I guess I've been around too long, so
you just had a
but
birthday, Alan.
I know hey, yeah, I'm still 39, so it's because it's the 43rd of those. It's no, never mind.
Yahoo Finance has a headline. Nearly 75% of riders fear robo-taxi safety. This is one of those headlines I think you were talking about before, referring to. Yet they
I
pay more for Waymo.
Yeah, so look, if you take a ride in something and then you give a person a questionnaire, what was your biggest concern during the ride? You ask me if I drive myself, from here to Mays Landing or whatever was what was my biggest concern. Probably my biggest concern was probably safety. If I sat there and thought, what was my biggest concern coming during the drive, 120, 130 minutes, what probably, you know, what's the highest probability of death for a 25-year-old? I think it's still, you know, car crash. I think it's been that way. It was always that way. Something like from age, 13 through 45, or I mean, whatever the numbers were, some big segments of everybody's life, the highest probability of one's dying is by vehicular accident, by vehicular whatever misbehavior, crash. So of course the biggest concern is safety.
And here's another
So
headline.
tell me something. It isn't truly. People took the rides,
Right.
and if they wanted to have another selfie, they take another ride. They got tired of that selfie, so they didn't bother.
So we have another headline, Alan. This one I think is the Times of London.
What?
Terrorists could turn driverless cars into slaughter bots.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I got you. What I think, if you look on the food chain of, if you're a terrorist, what thing would you, what is your risk reward trade-off on each one of the things that you might want to attack? Um, where does public transit list rank on that list? I mean,
This comes from some
it,
UN report or something, I think.
I guess UN doesn't have anything better to do. I guess I don't know. Really? First of all, how many people ride public transit? Nobody outside New York City. Okay, but here they're talking about, small transit companies. Small transit companies, by definition, have nobody riding them. So is really somebody going to waste their time attacking them? And they have no money. And so you're going to ransom something out of them? They have no money. So if you want, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should become a cybersecurity terrorist ransoming. I see what my list is, but I just okay, whatever.
And another
The
another
the
headline
the,
that
the unfortunate part of this is that these transit companies are struggling with the very small budget that they have. And one would question whether or not you want to spend that money on making sure that your cybersecurity is like pristine. I mean, oh my goodness, they have very much more fundamental challenges, which are probably more deserving of whatever little budgets they have than to say, oh my goodness, I want to make sure that I don't know where that is on their list of things to do. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm in this Princeton bubble here. I have no idea of the realities of the world.
well across
I
the
beg
pond,
your
Alan,
forgiveness.
TechCrunch had a headline that drew some comments from you. Wayve and Uber plan London robotaxi launch after UK speeds up autonomous vehicle rollout. You read into it and it just says in the coming years. So that's kind of, I
How
suppose.
many how many of those headlines have we seen over the past whatever? I mean, I guess the Elon legacy is to talk about what you're gonna do as opposed to what you did do. And I don't know. I'm good, and I guess I'm the worst of it because I guess I'm the one that's always talking about what I'm gonna do. One of these days, I will actually do something. So again, to all of you, I apologize. I am trying to do something.
You have a link here to a story that says that anyone can track online now. And I guess
Yeah.
the Tesla robotaxi rollout. So
I think it's broader than that. I think what Texas has put on there, much like what, in some sense, what California has done is ask those that are in this industry to basically provide them with information as to what they're doing, and so yeah, so people can look at, get their own feeling as to what's there and decide, how much smoke and how many mirrors are in each one of these things, and see, to what extent they're real imagined, whatever. But there is some advancements, and the biggest advancements, going back to our original discussions, is certainly what Waymo has accomplished so far. But it is absolutely just the beginning. Again, on a daily basis in the USA, there are something over 1 billion person trips. Um, Other than really short walking trips, and most of those by vehicles are being made by cars, either as a driver or being schlepped and being chauffeured. And so there's a big opportunity, there's a big market there, and what's even also substantive on that market is the latent demand of all the people that could have gone someplace and improved their lives had there been a decent way for them to get there. And which is really the piece that we're looking at to try to address. For the folks who really don't have good options to do things, they don't have a car, they don't have somebody to drive them, they don't have a chauffeur. It's not within walking distance, but it's not too far, and it could really improve their lives. And I had the pleasure of talking with Catherine Freund yesterday of ITN America, and she's talking about her annual meeting, having this woman so pleased that ITN could offer her a ride to a library, and how just being able to go to the library easily because they're focused on using volunteers to try to make the ride affordable and high quality. And the extent to which just going to the library had improved this person's life. So there are ways for us to improve lives with mobility that is high quality, that meets their needs, not where it happens to be. Where it happens to be and it serves those people, great, they're being served, they're fine. But what about all the others? And it's all the others that I think Catherine with ITN America is unleashing and providing rides to. The problem with trying to do it with the challenge, I shouldn't say a challenge, it's a challenge with trying to do it with volunteers, is there are just so many people who wish and care to volunteer. And so the scaling aspect can't be there, and that's why she focuses mostly on small and rural communities where there's a greater propensity to have volunteers, and the needs are extremely high and the values are extremely high. So that's great. But again, apparently we have this gizmo out here, this computer thingy here that apparently, should be able to do what a volunteer does. And if so, then that's the real, at least that's the opportunity that I'm chasing. And please, Volkswagen, you have a way to you have a gizmo to do it. I hope it's at least somewhat affordable. I mean, one can afford to pay some things for this.
Interesting. And Catherine,
And
of
just
course, has
work.
been doing great work for a long time.
Catherine's been doing great work for ITN America. Big fan.
Right. You have a headline here included in the newsletter, Alan. MSN says FRA and FTA projects are among those to receive grants from a funding backlog. They have now been approved by the Transportation Secretary. And I guess the questions you have are.
Yeah, well, they've been approved because they took out their equity and diversity and societal responsiveness, or whatever the statement is, and took that out of what they're doing. I'm just wondering how are we spending public money that's biased towards inequity, towards whatever. I mean, what? Yeah, just sorry, I'm complaining. I want to be positive. But it just seems to me, if public money is to be spent, I mean, how you don't have diversity and equity and inclusion and everything else as part of it, it baffles me. Okay, just baffles me. And okay, so the current administration doesn't like those names. What language do you want to use? But it's not about language. It's about what the projects are, and if the projects could just be now. Oh, they didn't have anything to do with that. Well, why were they approved in the first place? Those projects shouldn't be going forward, and unless they were for their bias only for some people. only to these approve whatever's. Whoa, I don't know. I guess it doesn't fit in with my societal values.
Right. And I guess that's going to do it for this early summer edition of Smart Driving Cars. Alan, you got your students
The
lined up for the
students,
summer, the interns.
my interns are working hard. They're really good. I love them. We're working on, of course, great things. And trying to. And I'm going to go play golf this afternoon. Well, I should. I'm going to try to whack the ball. I mean,
Get some of that frustration out, of course.
yeah. Ooh, take it out on a golf ball.
You can always find us at smartdrivingcar.com. My tech reports are at techstination.com. Thank you for spending time with us, watching or listening. Stay safe.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And have a great first day of summer coming up.